Page 73.
All right.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paradyme Podcast. We're going to be discussing Chapter 4 from Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. And Chapter 4 is titled Aphorisms and Interludes, and it's really tweets from the 1800s. And so we're going to be reading from Aphorism 106. So we'll jump right into it. Aphorism 106. By means of music, the very passions enjoy themselves.
Oh yeah, that's a tweet. That's literally a tweet. Be like, I love music, don't you? All right, DJ, you got anything to say?
It made me think about um passions enjoying themselves, like to your passion or the thing that you like I don't know, you think of as your passion is always enjoying itself as a passion. It's like it's the tune to your passion. It's like the song, it's always on like a fire playlist if you're doing your passion. But I also kind of made me think about like how if maybe like someone's passion is like something that we would see as like negative, it's still music to them. It's still like yeah, I don't know, it's something to enjoy. Like someone who has a passion for like I don't like killing people, like they enjoy that or something. It's like music to their ears. It really like made me think about the good and the bad of this. You know what I mean? I was like, it's too innocent of a tweet. I'm like, there's something deeper there. Yeah. Yeah, I was in discussion with ChatGPT because this was so short. I was like, what does this even mean? It seems too straightforward. And it said, music serves as a medium for emotions to express and relish themselves. Nietzsche saw art as a reflection of deeper truths.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. Like you ever like hear a song that like it's like the fucking song is like the title of your emotion you're feeling. Like sometimes you're like, dude, that's the exact story of me. Like,
Do you know one off the top of your head?
oh, dude.
Never been to Texas.
I mean, it really, it really just all depends. I mean, like, I don't want to fucking talk about it right now, but yeah, I start with Alaska. I have a couple in my head, yeah.
What in the butt?
Nah, that's you on the Diddy shit, not me, bro.
Rugrat. 1900 Rugrat.
Cracker got an AR.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard the thing that said, somebody told me that, I think it might have been you, David, but music is the closest thing to God that we have.
Oh shoot, I don't remember saying that. But
I think I said it's a universal language we all understand. Like, I remember we were listening to Rock With You by Michael Jackson.
oh yeah,
And Sean was like, dude, you can't tell me like another culture who doesn't even speak English would not just be vibing to this song right now.
yeah. And Michael Jackson fucking rocks, dude. You're like, dude,
Hell
you
yeah.
put you put Billie Jean on, you're like, fuck, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Doesn't matter where you're at. You hear Purple Rain, you stop for a second and you're like, I never want to call you anymore. You know? Yeah. All right. Let's continue with retweet scroll. We'll go to 107.
See, dude, let that be lesson, you guys. Don't overcomplicate it, bro. It's simple. He was just saying what he meant, He's like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a trick question.
Right. He could have just been like, I like music. It's good. Yeah. He said something crazy.
I mean, he said what he said.
All right. 107. A sign of strong character when once the resolution has been taken to shut the ear to even the best counter arguments. Occasionally, therefore, a will to stupidity.
Yeah, I kind of like this one. Um, I mean, it's all about resolve. It's like once you make the decision, it's like you have to stop like lending your ear to people trying to like count like give you a counter argument. You're like, I've already made my decision, so like
Right.
nothing else you can say is gonna change anymore. Like that time has passed, and like the point that he's like sometimes to like stupidity, it's like I don't know, something about like the hero archetype is that like once a hero has his resolve, like he'll do it even to like this like the stupidity levels, like Like Naruto would be a good example of that. Or I'm just watching the show right now where it's like ancient characters come back and fight each other, and like the fucking king of conquerors, he's like, "Fuck it, dude." He's like, "I'm literally the king." Well, I don't know. It's just funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that like that resolve can be viewed as like stubbornness or stupidity.
yeah, like an
Um,
ox or something.
right. If somebody doesn't understand your goal and your dream, and they're like, "Why is he being so stubborn about this?" You know, you've already made your decision. You're resolute. You're about it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like Naruto, literally, he's like, I'm not gonna die until I'm Hokage. Like I'm gonna go jump in front and like when he's fighting what's his name? Kabuto, and he gets stabbed through the hand in front of Tsunade. And he's like, I don't care if I'm gonna get stabbed or whatever. I'm not gonna die until I'm Hokage, but I have to stand on business. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it might look like that was a stupid move, but then he hits him with the Rasengan and fucking wins, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Scott, dude. Well, to just stupidity, bro. He'll start any paper company. It doesn't matter. Start him here, there, anywhere. Just flip out the paper. Anything else to add? No. Retweet.
Well, one thing I want to say, it's not, it may not be always the right thing, but he's just saying that it's just like a sign of strong character, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's like maybe the counter argument does have like some validity, but he's like, you stuck by your guns, buddy, and we respect that, you know,
Right.
as another man.
For sure. All right. Like, retweet, scroll. Who's got 108?
There is no such thing as moral phenomena, but only a moral interpretation of phenomena.
This reminded me maybe a year or two ago, we had a discussion about is there objective truth? Is truth objective? Yes. And originally I was like, nah, truth is kind of subjective. And I think that's what he's saying here. There is no such thing as moral phenomena. So if something happens, is it moral or is it immoral? He's not saying it's one or the other, but it's simply our interpretation of whether it's moral or not. So morality is subjective when it comes to phenomena, is what he's saying here. Not retweet. Not retweet. Do not like. Dislike. He's saying that, yeah, it's what is moral is strictly up to the individual's interpretation. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Move on. 109. All right. The criminal is often enough not equal to his deed. He extenuates and maligns it. Did I say that right? Malign?
Mm-hmm. The criminal.
This made me think of Raskolnikov. Okay. The criminal is not enough equal to his need. Like his crimes, he wasn't he was always above what he was doing, you know? Like his perspective on filling the old throne, he just had all his he just felt like he was above it, like reading about it, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Easy just like that. That's what just made me think of that. Criminal is often enough not equal to his deed. Why does he say things like that?
Right. Well, the vibe I got somehow makes me be like the thing he did because he's doing a criminal act, like he's not even worth like the thing he's stealing after he gets it. That's like the vibe I get.
The second part where he said he extenuates and maligns it.
The maligning part. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, it does remind me of Raskolnikov in a sense because
he redefines
their reasoning for doing it. They're like, it wasn't a crime because I did it for X reason. And they try to rationalize their behavior is what it makes me think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Sure.
And it's like, you know, you're trying to rationalize to avoid guilt or punishment. They'll malign it in their head, right? I did it because of this. Like I killed the old lady
because she fucking sucked, and
right,
I was young.
The world needed her. She was gone,
and I would use the money better than her. She's just hoarding it,
right? And so that's like a human tendency
when crimes are committed, the person tends to try to rationalize why they did it. Right. And you even see it in kids, right? Like it's a small thing, but they're like, well, I did it because of this, I wanted the stickers. That's why I stole them.
I think that kid that like that kid that got caught stealing the car, driving around on YouTube. And I'm talking, I was like, I just wanted to serve my pal. But yeah, all right, well, bye. He maligned it. He stole his grandma's cigarettes. All right, like,
Yeah.
retweet.
110.
The advocates of a criminal are seldom artists enough to turn the beautiful terribleness of the deed to the advantage of the doer.
That's really.
This one made me think of like the George Floyd Black Lives Matter riots.
Okay.
So like the advocates for the criminal, so like the criminal being George Floyd, okay? They turn his terribleness to their advantage, to what they were pursuing, which is like at the very minimum civil unrest. And yeah, he became like a martyr for them to use, and it's like they were advocates for him for his terrible deeds.
So he's saying they're seldom artists enough to do that, though.
I think that was one case where they were artist enough too.
Okay.
They turned it into a political slogan and event to achieve a means, right? Or now we start hearing defund the police. Now we start to hear these things start happening, and you actually start to see action taken from them. So I think that's a case in which they were artist enough to repackage this whole event in a way that they could achieve whatever goal they were trying to do. Right. We, like he's saying here, they did change it. So turn the beautiful terribleness of the deed to the advantage of the doer. Right. Like we overlook all the flaws of George Floyd, and he was a martyr of an ideal of like police brutality, mistreatment of people of color. Right. So in that case, they were artist enough, but in most of the cases, the defenders of the criminals are not artists enough to repackage the story in a way that would be appealing to the masses.
Oh, okay. No, sure.
It depends on the artistry of the person doing the defending.
Okay. Like so.
Okay, well, why do you think he says that then? I feel like when I just read it, I feel like I'm just like took most of it, and I see how like seldom impacts the thing he's saying. So like, why do you think he says that? What's the point?
If it's beyond good and evil that he's talking about, when people are thinking in black and white, if you're able to harness the gray in the middle, you can now be artist enough to make it applicable and appealing to the masses.
Or the other side.
So very few people are able to jump and deal with the gray zone.
That can kind
of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, but again, like, okay. It's just like, then tie that in with how he ends it with, for the advantage of the doer. Okay, tie that in with what you were just talking about. What's so funny, Dave? Like, okay, how?
Nothing.
Well, the example you used, the beyond good and evil, if it is black and white, the people that are on the, let's say, the black side versus the white side, the people that can play in the gray area that articulate, let's say, a creative message, the artists, because let's say everybody's an artist on the black and white side, but the people on the black side can't articulate well enough image or message to the other side to get people to understand their side. So whoever can operate in the gray space can play either side to move people in a way, or like to get you to see clear.
If you're playing gray,
or to manipulate you in a way.
In a sense, yeah. If you're playing gray, you can look over to the side that's black and be like, look at the black in this instance. And if you're playing in the gray, you can appeal to the people in the white and be like, look at the white in this instance. Right? If you're wise or what does he say? Artist enough, you can appeal to both sides.
And the people that only play black or white are seldom in the artistry.
Right.
They can't. I feel like you should have said some advocates, or I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to like, I don't know. Okay.
He's just highlighting that not enough people are artists enough to deal in the gray zone.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
All right. Like, bro?
Oh,
All right. 111. Our vanity is most difficult to wound just when our pride has been wounded.
like
So vanity,
vanity.
That's like your appearance or what you think about yourself. Like, I'm handsome or whatever, right?
so vanity is excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements.
Okay.
So your vanity, how you're perceived by the world, right? What we think and how we think we're perceived by the world is most difficult to wound when our pride has been wounded.
When your pride is like wounded, your vanity
Is most difficult to wound.
it becomes stronger.
Well, I wouldn't say stronger. I feel like I'm already so low. Like you think they're actually gonna hurt me now? Type of shit. You know? It's like, dude, like,
Right.
you think I'm worried about that? You think I'm worried about what you think of me, bro? My pride's been hurt.
Right.
I have bigger things to worry about right now. Like,
Right.
my name is on the line. You know, I don't care what you
Right.
think right now. Like, type of shit.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
All right. 112.
All right. Okay. To him who feels preordained to contemplation and not to belief, all believers are too noisy and obtrusive. He guards against them.
I kind of agree. I think like it just makes me think of like him criticizing like philosophers who are very like set in their ways with their philosophy at the time, their beliefs. So the person that is still contemplating, in this case, like him, Nietzsche is still kind of like figuring out, well, perhaps, you know, he's to everybody else, they're noisy. And there's too many quote unquote believers, possibly even obtrusive to like the new ways of maybe contemplation.
Yeah, so to the deep thinker, dogmatic believers are disruptive in a sense. Or hey,
I just don't think they're inviting to any nuance and ideas. Like, for example, like I love my aunt, you know, but like if you would try to have a nuanced conversation with her about like anything that could be in the religious realm, you know, she is gonna start trying to sell you on Christianity and like start like pointing out like pretty much like how like God's right, you're wrong, and like let me show you.
right.
Like he's like, I can't even think like this. You know, like I get it. He's like, but you don't have to like always sell me on the idea. You know, it's like Nietzsche's not trying to sell anyone on his ideas. You know, he's like, I'm just like throwing that shit out there into the void. You know, and I feel like that's what the vibe I got from it. And then he guards against them, where he's like, I'm not even gonna like say some stuff maybe where I'd like to, because like I know it'll just end up being like more of like a fucking it'll just be more noise, you know? It's just gonna be like another thing.
Yeah, I mean, imagine bringing up a political idea and having like a nuanced discussion, and like there's a person on the far left and a person on the far right that you're engaging with, and you're like, well, how about this? You just lay out X, and then it's like, here's the dogmatic beliefs from both sides. They're like, nope, this is correct. Nope, this is correct. You're like, all right, this didn't get anywhere. You guys are just bothering me and being disruptive.
It's noise. They're like, all right, shut up now.
Right. So
Right.
Okay.
Like retweet.
Like retweet. All right. 113. You want to prepossess him in your favor, then you must be embarrassed before him.
I can get this one.
So when he says prepossesses him in your favor, it means making a positive impression or willing someone over, or winning someone over, excuse me. So you want to win somebody in your favor, then you must be embarrassed before him.
Okay.
In order to... Huh?
Okay. I was gonna be like, so just kind of being like showing them a vulnerability. To being like, hey, look, you know, like that said, to be like, just to show them like you're real, you know?
Yeah, even just the willingness, right? The willingness to be embarrassed, the willingness to be the fool. If you want to win somebody over, you have to show, hey, this person is willing to be wrong, at least.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think that's important. So, and then you get in front of like being wrong, like it kind of takes all the steam out of it, you know?
Right.
Like oftentimes, like I'll make a mistake and I'm just like, oh, that was me. That's my bad. Like that's it. Like it's already in the past. Like it can't get any bigger than this. Like I'm already in front of it.
Yeah, I don't know if have you guys seen that story of the track runner that hit the girl with the baton?
Dude, no. Now this is in Virginia. This is actually those are the Virginia State championship for high school. Yeah,
I keep seeing that everywhere, and that's what I thought of when I read this part, because they're making this kind of like in a way campaign to make the girl feel as if she didn't do anything wrong, or like intentionally do something wrong.
She was like, hey, I don't know why people think I hit her. She's like crying. She's like, I don't know why people thought that. And then you watch the video, and she's literally like, dude, look, it's so obvious,
dude.
It's so obvious.
So it made me think that like if your willingness to avoid the inevitability to say that you are wrong in your action,
right?
I'm fully committed to making this right, and you're going to create a bunch of excuses. How do you give people the ability to accept your vulnerableness when you're always finding different ways to like make it right on what you did? Like you're not being vulnerable enough to be like, hey, I was wrong. I am so sorry I ever did that. My emotions got the best of me.
Accept embarrassment.
Yeah, but they're doing this like crazy campaign, and it's like lingering at this point. Like if you would have just said like, hey, I messed up. Even if I tripped, I fucked up really bad. Like,
right.
It kind of be over by now. Like people would be like, hey,
it'd be over. We're still talking about it because like she did the whole campaign of being about like, I'm being like falsely accused, like her parents backing her up, and then like you watch her crying, being like I'm falsely accused, and then you watch the video again. It's like, bro.
All right. Aphorism 114. The immense expectation with regard to sexual love and the coyness in this expectation spoils all the perspectives of women at the outset.
I thought this shit was funny, dude. Like you read that shit again. Funny.
Yeah. My interpretation of this was like, men think women are hot. That's why we douse ourselves in wanting like to fuck with hot women. Like, I don't know, my male like
no, dude. So
go ahead. Yeah.
In my mind, it's like you go so dummy. I'm just summarizing. You go so dummy, like thinking with your dick instead of your brain. Like you're like, this woman's everything. Like she's coy, it's cute. I love flirting with her. It's like the honeymoon stage, and then you're like, that ruins everything because like that's not a fair parameter to like measure a person. You know, like she's an actual person. She's not just like this like love spell. You know, like there's like so much more to it. You know, and like all we're thinking of was like, you know, like so. I don't. Great.
Yeah, I thought that was super funny when I read it.
So like from the beginning, you see here, you're like, God damn, this woman's attractive. Immediately, that's spoiling your perspective of her.
And the way he says like the coyness, it's like, okay, look at what's the definition of coyness. I thought a bit like
it's like flavorless, right?
The quality of feigning shyness or modesty in an attempt to seem alluring.
Yeah, kind of flirty a little bit, you know. She like, I'm actually like a good girl, like, you know, but like, uh,
Just kidding. All right. 115. Where there is neither love nor hatred in the game, women's play is mediocre. So before we jump into it, what I'll do with this reading is I'll read to ChatGPT and then she'll give me an interpretation and we'll discuss. Right. And when I was having this discussion, didn't mention women at all in the context. Right. And I was like, interesting take, but why didn't you mention women? And ChatGPT goes, well, this can apply across both genders, you know?
woke.
I was like,
woke.
yeah. I was like, but why do you think he mentioned women in particular? Well, these were the societal gender norms at the time. Okay. All right. But I think what it's saying, like, if there's no emotional involvement in the game, then women's play is mediocre.
Yeah, no, I think the reason why, and this is on my personal opinion, the reason why we like watching sports is the competitive nature.
Right.
We like to see people like go at it full force and like really put everything on the line to win the champion, to win the game. And if that's not competitive enough, or it's not like that, it doesn't meet that edge, kind of gets boring. It's kind of like, it's kind of like not as fun to watch.
Have you seen women's soccer? No.
Well, yeah,
It's even more competitive than men's soccer.
and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
So, like, why don't you think? Do you think that's mediocre?
Not necessarily. They're competing at the highest level that you can compete in that sport. I think it's just there's always comparison because there's a man's sport and there's a women's sport, and the men's sport is like, I don't know. I'm just speaking from the hip, and like I would prefer to watch something like, if women are going to be that competitive nature, hopefully there's someone that's like a superstar or someone that's like, oh, this is going to be so sick to watch because the headbutting and stuff that has been going on the behind the scenes, and like, so that nature to it increases that value of the game, than the bracket tier of sports. So,
yeah, I've been naked 1,000 times where Ronaldo jumps up and gets a header, and his feet straight leg, he is 2.06 meters off the ground. He jumps 6 something feet in the air,
and the power behind like headers is fucking mind-blowing.
It's insane. But there is women's emotional involvement in the game.
They could love the sport, yeah. I mean, they could love the sport. They could hate the other team, you know? Like, you ever see, like, them fire with the other team? So, like, I feel like it's just the emotional engagement that's in it, right? That's what he's talking about.
I guess it would apply both to men and women in a sense. What he's highlighting in women, but, like, if you play sports, if you've ever played sports...
Well, no, I disagree. I think, I think the general, I feel like there's a reason why he puts the words for the reason why he puts the words, you know, I don't think it could be applied evenly to men and women. Like, the reason why, I'm remembering one we read a few weeks ago about like, would you ever like take a penalty to uphold your name for your prop, you know, type of shit. And I feel like there's other aspects that men will go compete in that's not for love or hate. Like, one being pride, one being like ego, one being responsibility type of shit. And I'm not saying like those aren't found in women. I'm just saying, like, I think those traits are typically an archetype of like a man, you know? So, and I feel like love, as it may be like a catalyst for like doing great things, it's not always like one of like the main baskets of things that like drives a man. You know, I think it can be, but it's not like one that has to be part of the picture, I think. You know, but I do think it's an important ingredient, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, think about, like, let's say the game is finding a partner. If there's no love or hatred of the person, then it's kind of like indifferent, mediocre.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't care. All right. 116?
160. Yeah.
The great epochs of our life are at the points when we gain courage to rebaptize our badness as the best in us.
Okay, I don't quite get it, but this is like the vibe I got. Okay, when he talks about like the epochs, that means like what? Like literally like the max of a thing, right? Like the climax of a thing. Is that what an epochs mean?
Like the turning point.
Okay, so a climax can be a turning point or something, right? turning point. Okay.
Yeah.
When we gain courage to rebaptize our badness as the best of us. I thought, like, for me, my general vibe is like when I'm at my lowest and I come to like it's so over, and then I make the decision in my head. I'm like, we are actually on full throttle to be so bad. Like, it starts literally right now, and like I'm gonna acknowledge that like all this shit is John Crowson, but I'm not gonna let it be the worst of me. Like, you know, and it's like that like mental shift to be like the rebaptized, to be like, I'm actually about to be so back. And it could be like a spiritual I'm so back or like a whatever, but like to like be at your lowest and be like, nah, actually I'm gonna make it till tomorrow and I'm gonna turn this all around. That's the vibe I get when I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a mental shift for sure.
Why do you think he says rebaptize?
I think, and like again, like the meme, like there's been like some like you have to like reconfirm with yourself with like, who am I? What are my principles? Like, what am I doing? You know, because sometimes I feel like we fall astray and then we look at ourselves and we're like ashamed of like how far we have like come from like what we set out for ourselves, you know? And I think it takes like something like a rebaptize of like being like, I'm actually gonna reset my like my compass. I'm gonna reset myself. I'm gonna rebaptize myself. I'm gonna wash my sins away, and I'm gonna try again right now, starting right now. You know, and that's what rebaptize, like to wash away your sins, to start a new slate. You know, and I feel like it's like it takes like the epoch of like potentially the worst thing ever to be like, I'm gonna rebaptize myself type shit. You know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but some of the biggest growth I had in my young adult life was post breakup. So post breakup like highlights a lot of things that potentially an individual can work on, and to analyze those things, process them, and then rebaptize them. Like, these are things that I can work on and make my strengths. You know, so you like just wash yourself, clean yourself up, learn and move forward, then you know, you get a lot of like real significant growth. And I think that's kind of what he's highlighting here is like when we gain the courage to change the way we think about things. Um,
and I think like the badness as the best of us could be like to be able to accept that you can be that bad and be like, I'm still gonna fucking try to do better. You know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yep.
I think that's what that's the biggest piece I've got away from that aphorism is like we're gonna mess up and we're all human. Like it doesn't matter how bad it's just what's your next step forward. Like you can sulk in it or you can either move forward. You only have really two options.
Right. Yeah, baptize it. Clean it up, keep going. Like complete save.
This one.
Scroll.
117?
Yeah, 117.
The will to overcome an emotion is ultimately only the will of another or the several other emotions.
Yeah, boom. I thought this was straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, what does it mean?
Like for me, it's like whether you see someone dealing with something or someone comes to you with like an emotional problem, whether it's like a breakup or a family death or like whatever, like you can listen or you can prescribe stuff, but like truly it's up to them to like overcome that hurdle of like whatever emotion they're feeling. Like it's like the horse to water thing, you know? And then it's either that or a combination of like several other emotions will like be so powerful that it will replace that emotion, you know? Maybe it's like, you know, hate's like a big one, you know, type stuff. But it could be like new love could replace like hurt in your heart too, is like on a more positive side. You know, a new relationship could do like even a friendship, what I'm talking about.
Is courage considered an emotion?
Courage?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's a good question. I really don't even.
When I read it, I started to like think about the one previous 116, and I wonder why he put the 117 right after 116. Because I started thinking of courage of like just the example of like heartbreak. You could have the emotion of like being distraught, like this sucks,
Right.
down in my life. I thought this was going to turn into something that I thought would be different. Either you can build up the enough emotion to get you running the opposite way in the betterment of yourself. You can stay there, or you can allow that emotion to take over everything. The sorrow, the guilt, the feeling sorry for yourself, and you can just live in that. And then the emotion that can get your gears going in the opposite way can be courage. But I was like, is courage even an emotion?
Looked it up. It said courage is generally considered a character trait or quality rather than an emotion. So emotions are feelings like happiness, sadness, or anger, while character traits are qualities that describe a person's character, such as kindness, honesty, or courageous.
Okay.
It's interesting. I took this a little differently. I took it as so the will to overcome an emotion is ultimately the will of another or several others. And so kind of getting like that our desires or emotional struggles are often influenced by others. It's kind of what I got. The drive to change an emotion may stem from external influences, reflecting like an interconnectedness with our emotions and external influences. So like is ultimately the will of another or several others. Hear that? It's kind of what I got.
I see that.
It's like if you're like, oh man, this happened at work, and you went to go talk to somebody, like, man, that sucks. You should be asking for a raise, and like the fact that they're doing that's messed up. Yeah, and then like after having that conversation, you're like, yeah, you know what? They're right. I should, like you could get influenced by an external source, right? And then if you go and you like, go well, and they say the same thing, you're like, well, maybe they're all right, and then you can have your whole emotion change.
Yeah, but maybe they're all wrong.
Right.
I feel like
Probably, yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just disagree with that. Now, I do agree that, like, can someone else change your emotion? But, like, I feel like that's how you process an emotion typically comes with how you're deciding to process it and lay it out inside first,
It's all temporary until you internalize your own,
like I feel like people could feel all sorts of type of way, but like it literally does not matter to me for like, it's like, how do I feel about this shit,
It reminds me of JVP when he said, we depend on others for our sanity.
I would sort of push back. Because I take that when he talks about that in the light of like, it's how we orient ourselves in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I take that message. It's our sanity is built on not societal norms, but how we place ourselves in that said society, right? Like where we decide to like how far we want to achieve or how much do we want to gain or lose. Like we kind of can gauge based on like other people's achievements or other people's losses. We can kind of place ourselves where we believe we're most valuable. And that's how, I don't know, that's how I take like what you just explained.
Okay. Any that?
Nope.
All right. 118.
There is an innocence of admiration. It is possessed by him to whom it has not yet occurred that he himself may be admired someday. I like it. To me, it's like the story of like a young boy who looks, okay, boom. If you've watched Attack on Titan, remember when Eren looks over the scouts and he's like in total admiration of them, and he does not know yet that he's literally gonna be gonna be not only in the scouts, and there's gonna be kids that look up to him someday, but that like he's gonna have potentially the biggest role to play in the entire story, But like the innocence of him like still being not yet in the story or in the play yet, of him being like, I can't, like, someone else is the big hero, There's like something about that. You're like, you don't even know yet that maybe if you play your cards right, someday people will look up to you.
Yeah. Right. And it hasn't even occurred to that person yet.
Yeah.
How could it?
Right.
Like, how could it?
Well, some people, I would say some people, like, they're like, I'm destined for greatness, And like, they've kind of always had that, but like some people don't, I feel like,
Yeah.
There's like some innocence to it.
Sure. I think the innocence gets even more admiration. Because you start playing in different realms when there's like not that innocent factor where like you are you perceive yourself of high value in that sense where like you believe you're going to be great, and it's not to say you shouldn't believe those things. It's just the innocent one doesn't even thinking about, oh, one day I'm going to have this. They're thinking about, dang, I wish I want to I'm going to do everything in my power to maybe someday get that, but I don't know if I'm capable. And just,
Yeah.
over time, it just happens.
Yeah, if the person that's admiring somebody else thinks they should be admired for the same thing, they're delusional because they're obviously admire that person because they have something that they don't have yet. You know.
Mhm.
All right. Any dad.
You nada.
All right. 119.
Our loathing of dirt may be so great as to prevent our cleaning ourselves, justifying ourselves.
Dirt.
Didn't really understand this one too much.
You need to get rebaptized.
So what I got from this one is that we may hate the dirt and messiness of our lives so much that it prevents us from cleaning it up. And so we justify having that dirt. And so because we have this aversion, it may prevent us from addressing our own flaws. Our distaste of something may hold us back from self-improvement.
Mm.
It's like the person that lets their room get so dirty, they're like, oh, okay, this is just what it is.
That's what I was thinking. It was like,
This is my life now. Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't even want to do it. It's not that bad. Justify.
This is my life. All right.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
All right. 120.
Yeah.
Go.
Sensuality forces the growth of love too much so that its root remains weak and is easily torn up.
Sensuality.
Yeah.
All the geezes when I was growing up all told me this. You know what I mean? If you have sex too soon, it clouds your judgment. And then as you're developing the relationship, it because it clouded your judgment, you didn't take the time to really understand the other person. The relationship's weak and frail and inevitably becomes torn down.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought this one was pretty straightforward. It's like,
Right.
what's the foundation on? Is it just like the sex appeal? You know, like,
Right.
Not
So young men watching, she might be the hottest woman you've ever seen, but take the time to dust it off and talk a little bit before busting that thing down because it'll cloud your judgment.
for real. Don't overthink it. Just full send. She'll figure itself out. You know, like you gotta learn somehow. You know what I'm saying?
You got it. Yeah,
So you're massage, bro. Don't, whoa.
go get go to the wishy-washy. I mean, this is old school stuff right here. This is stuff I heard when I was growing up. Like, hey, just take your
Yeah, I
time.
mean, for sure. My family would always be like, okay, like about like my girlfriend or whatever. They're like, is she cool? Like, it's not just about the sex, right? Like she's cool to be around. You know, because the sex you just stop or very silently. He's like, because the sex like we're gonna last forever. And I was like, yeah, bro, she's sick.
Yeah. For real. Yeah, and then it comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
No.
Like, tweet, save, retweet. All right. 121.
It is a curious thing that God learned Greek when he wished to turn author, and that he did not learn it better.
I did not understand this one.
Well, I really don't know about the Greek part, but the end I thought was funny about like, and that he did not learn it better. I just thought like, there's always so much left for interpretation. He's like, bro, he's like all omnipotent God. Like, don't you think he could have learned Greek better and fucking like told us like the recipe, like crystal clear? Like, why do we have to interpret it?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So for some context, Jesus and the people back in that time spoke Aramaic, and they wrote in Aramaic, and that was part of the Assyrian culture at the time. Most people spoke Aramaic, and I don't think he's necessarily saying God. I think because God didn't write in Greek, but his religious text was converted into Greek, right? And so when he wished to turn author, we're just talking about religion as a whole. When people decided to translate from Aramaic to Greek, they're saying like, I think what he's kind of saying here is like, for somebody who's omnipotent, like there's still a lot to question that he didn't learn it better. You figure it would be a manual, right? It'd be a manual on how to live, and he's saying that it's not really up. It's subpar to that.
Yeah, I get the end part for sure.
All right, 122. To rejoice on account of praise is in many cases merely politeness of heart, and the very opposite of vanity of spirit.
All right, I like this one. For me, it's like, it reminds me first of, okay, do you guys feel awkward when people compliment you? Let's just start with that question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was very young, one of my best friend's mom, she complimented me on something, and I was awkward about it. And she was like, John, you don't know how to accept compliments, do you? And I was like, no. And she's like, let me teach you. And I was like, okay. She was like, thank you. And that was it. And it stuck with me. And then like, so recently with like me winning like the CTE teacher thing and being at the award ceremony, there's been a lot of like, hey, congratulations and stuff, you know, and like people want to like gas me up. And I truly do not want to talk about it. It's like kind of like embarrassing, you know? So, but like I say thank you out of like politeness, you know? And I really don't want to talk about it if I'm being honest. So that one kind of like struck a chord with me because like I do know the awkwardness of receiving praise and like and how to receive it the correct way, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's merely politeness, you know?
Like I'm literally like thank you, you know? I'm like people.
All right, next subject.
Okay. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, you're like, let's move on.
Literally, I'm like, yo, so how's that thing going? You know, like totally not even gonna talk about the thing, you know?
Right.
So
All right.
or like just to unpack it more.
Yeah.
Where like I think someone could take it and be like, oh yeah, and like be like, I'm the shit and y'all can smell it, you know? Yeah. And like they could use that moment to like talk about themselves. And like that would be polite. Okay.
All right. 123. Even concubinage has been corrupted by marriage.
He's like, damn, dude, you can't even have a fucking harem of chicks anymore. Like, you have to be married. Like, what the fuck? Like, concubine is like literally what that is, right? Like a fucking
Horse.
Your posse of chicks, groupies, really. Yeah. You're like they're all. Well, that's what the I thought a concubine's like a harem, like they're yours, like you own them. Like they belong to you. They're not sluts for everybody. They're sluts only for you.
Concubine, a woman who lives with a man but has a lower status than his wife or wives.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So they're not. Yeah. They're part of the family, but like they're like they live with all of the other concubine women, and like they don't get to eat at the dinner table. Like they're like, you know, but like
it's property.
He's like you can't even have that anymore. You gotta like what else do they do?
Cancel. Like we used to be a country, dude.
We used to be a country. Because a man could have 12, 20 wives. He's like, now look at us.
We're corrupted. It's the opposite. Like we used to be a village or something. I don't know.
It takes a village. That's why you need the concubine, bro. Like,
right. More kids. So kind of what he's saying is formal institutions like marriage can distort more natural human interactions.
I hear that argument all the time. That I'm probably gonna butcher it, but us the what is it, the monogamous side of our I guess the normalness to monogamy is relatively new in human age, right? Because most of our lifespan as human existence on the planet, like we didn't operate in monogamy. We operated by having like a bunch of partners,
right?
At least from a man's perspective. And so I hear that like quite a lot. I never look into it and like why people like
Right.
talk about that.
Always in the red pill community is it brought.
I would say maybe though, but historically speaking, I feel like there's always been an ebb and flow of like, at least in like when we became having like a society, like a civilization, is that like there's always been monogamy and then like non-monogamy. Because like even in like early Rome, there'd be emperors that were like really conservative and like did not like how the Romans were very like polyamorous, you know, and like they were like all Romans should be monogamous, and it's a sin to not be monogamous, you know. Also too, like certain animals in nature mate for life, like geese mate for life. And so if you kill one of their mates, they never find a new mate for as long as they live. And I feel like in sometimes like I feel like a human could do like that, could be like that, you know. I feel like it is natural to see other chicks and be like, that'd be pretty sick too. So
Right.
just throwing that out there, like in nature there are monogamous animals that mate for life too. So I don't think it's out of the realm for humans to at least feel that too.
Yeah. In my personal belief, as far as like just my existence of being here, like the 29 years or whatever, I think monogamy is actually for the better of society.
Yep.
Like it gives every man the chance to like reproduce and give them a legacy, rather than like, let's just say the top producers of mankind to have everything.
No, I mean monogamy, dude, is it doesn't seem like it, but it's a blessing to the man himself too.
Yeah.
You know, just one less thing to have to worry about. Or fucking what? 3.5 billion less things to worry about.
True.
All right. 124. He who exults at the stake does not triumph over pain, but because of the fact that he does not feel pain where he expected it. A parable.
Yeah. I thought this was a riddle. I was like, okay, this time he's actually laying a riddle. He's
All right.
What's the riddle?
I don't know the riddle. That's I wrote literally question mark next to it. Riddle question mark.
I felt the same. So I went to the AI overlords and it said, our perceptions of suffering are often shaped by our expectations. The individual who triumphs does so because the reality of pain doesn't align with their expectations, which can shape their experience.
Man.
Like if you're expecting this to be like the hardest thing of all time, you finally get into it and it's not as bad as you thought it was, you exceed. So it's all about managing expectations.
Cool perspective.
What does he mean, exalt at the stake?
So to exult is to feel or show triumphant elation or jubilation.
Jubilation.
So
I found this. Sorry.
fucking with the you know, like raising the, so you're at the stake and you're triumphant, but that the person that is triumphant at the stake doesn't triumph over pain.
Looking at you, Bizzo. All right, this next one I thought was funny.
All right, 125.
When we have to change an opinion about anyone, we charge heavily to his account the inconvenience he thereby causes us. So I just thought that shit was funny. I mean, it makes me think of, it's like when someone comes off maybe bad, and this is like the best case scenario, you know, someone comes off as bad, and then like eventually you like find out they're actually kind of cool. You're like, oh, dude, like one, we could have been homies this whole time, you know?
Right.
So that's in the best case. In the second case is just like, it's like now we have to reorientate where they are in your mind, like with this new information about them. You're like, oh fuck, dude. Like I thought you were clear. I thought we cleared you a while ago. Now I got to reassess you. You know.
Right. That's facts.
Yeah, man, I can think of a personal case where we have this new person on the job, and her first week, her last day, she left early because she had to catch a flight or whatever. But when she took off, I came back. I had to finish everything, and immediately I was like, "Yo, this person fucked me," and they have to be the worst because they caused me this inconvenience. They can't. There's no way they're bad. They're good at their job, you know. And working with that person again, I was like, okay, it was a factor of having to leave early. Like, it's not bad at her job at all. It's just that one time, and it was yes, she caused me inconvenience, but now I have to reassess. Okay, she is capable. She can be a good worker. But I mean, if that causes me that any inconvenience at all, then I would be like, yep, I was right the first time.
Thank you. Oh, I got one.
All right, 126. A nation is a detour of nature to arrive at 6 or 7 great men. Yes, and then to get round them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought our own country as like a template. I mean, the revolutionaries, a couple guys grouped together and went against the biggest power in the entire world, and they set the foundation for the United States, George Washington being one of them,
Yep.
I'm talking like the people who signed like the Declaration of Independence, like James Madison, shit like that. They're the people who wrote like the Constitution, and like they really did set the path for us. And like since then, it's like we've been on a path of like literally veering around the very things that they set for us,
Yeah.
And then like in a different sense too, like I feel like Trump's a good example, he's got like he's like a black hole of like everything gets sucked into him. He's like the focal point of everything all the time, and I feel like after Trump's era, moving on post Trump, what's gonna look like you have to move around a guy who was like so big he like sucks in the whole world every time he like goes on the TV, love him or hate him, like you have to chime in to see what he's doing.
I'm so grateful that the Republican bench is deep. Thank God it's deep.
JD Vance is doing we'll talk about that. JD Vance is doing an amazing job about being vocal, like gaining people's like acknowledgement and respect, I think, in the way he's like setting himself with like international affairs and stuff like that. I hear him talk about I hear him being very communicative and like well spoken. I'm like, thank God, because I knew nothing about him. Seeing him like,
Right.
we just had Kamala Harris as vice president. Like, she was like a little retard. So like to see this guy like be able to be like, this is, I'm like, wow, he might actually be all right. Wow.
Right. Thank God. Then you got Vivek right after, and then he could just roll in the next Trumps, Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric.
Vivek's never gonna get it now, dude. He lost the momentum he had, I swear. He lost it.
He'll be back.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I think he'll be like always like a character around as like a supporting character. Yeah,
Maybe he'll be JD's VP.
I do not see it. No.
No. All right. We'll see. All right. So let's accept this as true, right? That nations select or arrive at 6 to 7 great men, and then we get around them and make it part of our national identity, right? If you had to choose those 6 or 7, if you even just want to give me 3 outside of Trump right now that represent the American identity or what we want the American identity to be, who would you say?
I mean, okay, let's talk a lot. Why don't you guys go?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, obviously, right?
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
I would. What's his name? Thomas Sowell.
Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, I would love to see more of that in the perspective of like the state of our nation, like people critically thinking about like not just what is a headline, but looking into the numbers and stats and what's going on in communities and the economy and things like how he breaks his books down and his education, right? He's phenomenal at what he does. So I think more people like that I would create.
You think Vivek would be in there?
Yeah, I would put him like a scholar for sure. Yeah,
Businessman,
mm-hmm. Entrepreneur,
make America first, America first.
Yeah, 100%. Vivek. Who else? Elon, obviously.
Bill Gates.
We're gonna have to
John, like what?
question around.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, if we accept this as true, there has to be a selection of great men that America's rallying around.
Oh,
And like right now, we could say for sure there's 2, 3, you know, 4, RFK Jr. Um,
And I would say like there's side characters too. Like if we're talking straightly politics or for a country, like Tucker Carlson's been the voice of like of the news media ever since he left Fox News and started his own thing. Like he's had a big voice. I would say Joe Rogan is like a voice with himself. There's another one of these people like these ginormous platforms and like stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
The independent journalism for sure, like that independent side of like not being subjugated to private money or sponsorship.
I'll say fucking Alex Jones too, bro. Like I swear.
yeah, whoa. I mean, he's faced a lot of our trial and tribulation.
I think he truly cares about her country, like deeply about like the principles of like what we have here, and like I think that he truly thinks he's going up against like the authority, you know, for his fellow man, and I think like as like a journalist or whatever you want to call him, I mean I think I'm always excited to hear what he's talking about, dude. You know, so yeah. He's from America. He's like, come on, dude, let's be patriots out there. So
Let's be patriots.
Yeah, I always think of Alex Jones as someone that critically thinks at the deepest levels, like almost like being able to question every single
everything.
they were turning the frogs gay. They are. I mean, like all that was true. They were putting in our water. Like, come on, dude. He was so before his time. It's great.
Yeah. Lucy. See if I can find a good one here.
Or Jones?
Yeah.
Shit.
Both of them.
Alex Jones did a disturbing rant against
is a cowardly, degenerate sack of anti-human trash. I pledge before my Heavenly Father that people are the literal demon spawn of it. And you know what? He is better than you if you keep letting him run your life. He runs your kids. He runs the schools. He runs the banks. This guy, the spirit, this smiling, leering devil that thinks you can't see what he is. Your enemy.
Narcissistic, worshipping. But see, the thing is, like, I didn't just put the lie in that the.
And I swear total resistance to you, whatever they have got.
See, I love that shit, dude. I love it. Like, I swear resistance to you with everything I got. I love that shit. I go, amen, brother. Do not let them step on us. Semper Fi. They're like, do not let them do that shit to us, bro. But he's right, dude. He's like, that guy is our enemy. He fucking wants to take everything away from the American people on behalf of our safety. Go fuck himself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You could put a bunch of people's faces on that picture that he's pointing at.
Yeah. No, I do. I remember that clip. I fucking fuck.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. That brings us to 20. How you feeling? I know it's 10 o'clock over there. Yeah, we've done 20, 106 to 126.
I think you should call it.
You want to call it there and then continue next week?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
All right.
We stop 126.
We stop at 126. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Paradyme Podcast. We hope you're enjoying the show. We hope you're reading along with us. Go pick up the book if you haven't picked it up yet. This is Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. If you are reading along for us, go ahead and drop down below what is your favorite aphorism from chapter 4 so far, and what are your favorites that we discussed today. With that, I actually want to ask you guys, what was your favorite aphorism?
I think it was 116. Yep, 116.
116.
Great epochs of life are at the points when we gain courage to rebaptize our badness as the best in us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say 107. John, I think you're really good at this, but a sign of strong character when once the resolution has been taken to shut the ear even to the best counter arguments, occasionally, therefore, a will to stupidity. So like one of the things like I've noticed in John is when he's set his heart on something and he's made a decision, he sticks to it. And That's something that I want to improve in myself, but it is an admirable quality of strong men.
Thank you, Jay.
I'm gonna say the first one. By means of music, the very passions enjoy themselves. I love music.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite was 107 as well. That one really rings a bell for me. So
For sure. All right. What's your favorite one? Drop it down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow our social media platforms. All the information you need will be down in the description box below. Potentially a new clothing line coming out. Keep an eye out for that. We might be dropping that soon. It's going to be epic, dude. It's going to have all the topographic maps on it, all that cool stuff. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And remember, who you are now equals who you'll be tomorrow. Peace.